Now this is where the movie kind of goes beat for beat with the original. That Maurice goes, he runs into some wolves. The wolves try and chase him down and everything, and then he runs into the castle. But in the animated movie, he's just like, whoa, these people are talking, these things are talking, and everything, and he's kind of enamored by it. But in this version, well, Kevin Kline, what did you do?
It's all right.
He runs away. It's fantastic. He's just like, wow, this is an interesting place. And then Chip comes. I loved Chip in this movie. Oh my goodness, the little boy that played and voiced Chip, fantastic job by him. He was great. And the great thing that they did here was also they made Chip. I love how he just comes forward and then he says his line, and then Kevin Kline just leaves and everything. He's like, I'm gonna leave, and then he tries to get the rose, and that's when the beast comes and attacks. And then we have some interesting cutting here, which I think is very interesting by the filmmakers. There's a lot of fade to blacks or cuts to black and things in this movie. Something I've noticed in movies recently. I don't know if they just don't know how to transition, or just they just thought, you know what, instead of having some different transition, we'll just transition this way. Just have a hard cut or a fade, and then obviously we have the horse running back. And Belle goes in, she finds, her father, the beast. She switches places, which actually isn't a deal, but she decides, my father's more important. I love the line Emma Watson says when Dan Stevens asks,
You took his place.
He's my father.
He's a fool. So are you.
It's great. It adds something to the characters. I think Dan Stevens is great in this movie, by the way. I love Dan Stevens. He's a fantastic actor. And he's fantastic in this movie. And you can really see the motion capture work. Even, I don't think the CGI on him is superb. It's definitely not like, War for the Planet of the Apes and stuff like that. It's not Gollum or anything like that. But it is a great performance by him. He really does a good job. And also they said he had to not only do it on set, but also go in at night and do all the, he had to recreate his performance in a computer, basically. And they do a pretty good job with it. While it doesn't look to be the greatest, you can really see the expression in his face. And his voice is great. He's fantastic in the movie. We get the moments. We get the moment of, Belle realizing that the whole castle is basically pretty much more or less enchanted. I love her reaction to seeing Lumiere. Lumiere is great, by the way, in this film as well. Ewan McGregor does a fantastic job. And when he sings Be Our Guest, I think he does a really good job with that. Ian McKellen as Cogsworth. Come on. Like, great cast. Emma Thompson as Mrs. Potts, just doing a great job. I love all that. And then obviously, I love when she comes into her room. That moment when she comes into her room and does that panning shot. Listen to the underscore tone here. Listen to that underscoring right here.
It's modest but comfortable.
That's the song Home from the original Broadway musical. But they just, instead of having her sing it, they just went and were like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to play it through the orchestration. And it worked. I remember I noticed that. I'm like, that's the song in the theater. I noticed that. That was something I noticed in the movie. And then I like all that stuff that happens. I love this. I love Emma Watson's line right here.
Well, I'm not a princess.
And that's great, because she's not a princess. She becomes one, but she isn't one. Then one of the great things that happens after this, the film then slows down just a tick. And what I really like about this is, we go into the Gaston song. What the Gaston song does very well is it adds something to it. I love the additions of the new pieces of dialogue, especially at the end with LeFou. That's some just great stuff. I love that. That's all great.
And his name's G-A-S-T. I believe there's another T. It just occurred to me that I'm illiterate and I've never actually had to spell it out loud before.
I love everything about this song. I love the choreography of it's just great. I love that key change that Luke Evans does. I mean, come on, like that. Yeah.
And now that I'm grown, I eat 5 dozen eggs, so I'm roughly the size of a ball.
But then, outside of that, it's blocked really well. It's cinematic. It just does a great job, and I love that. Then, obviously, we have, Maurice comes in, and instead of, raving like a lunatic, they do something here that I love. I absolutely love it. They basically make Gaston out to be a good guy, and it's like, Maurice, I'll trust you. But obviously, we learn later, a little bit later. Let's fast forward just a bit past the little beast part there. That, well, this wasn't necessarily the greatest idea. Yeah, that's right, he got betrayed. What I like about that moment, and what I like about this, one, it's like I said earlier, it adds upon Gaston and LeFou a bit with the...
You say beast one more time, I will feed you to the wolves!
Gaston, stop it! Breathe. Think happy thoughts. Go back to the war. Blood, explosions, countless widows.
Widows.
Yes. That's it.
Maurice.
What's great about it, also you can see Kevin Kline's face when he turns back around. It's fantastic, and there's a lot of great moments there that I think really add to the story. They just really add to what's going on. But it's the thing that I really do love about this movie is it shows scale, shows depth. And then the Beast, in the original, remember, the Beast gave her the room. In this one, the servants did it, against his wishes. And then obviously he comes and asks her to dinner, and she's like, I don't want anything to do with you. And I love what she says to him right here.
You've taken me as your prisoner, and now you want to have dinner with me? Are you insane?
Uh-oh. He's losing it.
Oh dear.
I told you to join me for dinner!
And I told you no!
Oh! What? What time is it?
What's happening?
I'd starve before I ever ate with you.
And then, obviously, we get Mrs. Potts coming in and everything. She basically is just like, oh, you're going to leave, but you might as well have some tea. And you know what? You might as well eat some food, too. We get Be Our Guest, which is fantastically done. Again, I watched this in 3D, actually. My grandfather converted from 2D to 3D on his TV. Amazing. Just amazing. Especially with the Be Our Guest scene. Anything that was CGI looked really, really great. Anything that was more live action, you could see the depth, but obviously it's not as good as a disc that is 3D, but they didn't release one, so I don't know like that. But anyway, that really added a lot to it. I really like the Be Our Guest scene a lot. It's great. It calls back to things like Singing in the Rain. It calls to things like Aladdin, and it even is like this big Bollywood number at the end. It's magnificent. And then obviously she runs off and everything. That's a big thing that happens. And then obviously he fights off the wolves for her. And we're going to skip the scene because I already talked about it, where Maurice and Gaston and LeFou all meet up in the woods. But then this scene goes back and we get a brand new song. And the song is Days in the Sun. And I love this song. I think one of the really, really good things about this song is it takes the place of another song called Human Again. And it kind of brings it more in a better light almost. I think Human Again, the song's way too long. And this, you kind of actually feel for everybody, and you're just like, wow, everybody's gone through a lot, you know? All these servants have gone through a lot for the Beast, for themselves, and they're partially to blame why he is the way he is. You get the backstory with his mother and everything. And I like all that, and it really flows very well. And I love the line that Emma Watson sings right here.
The spell we're under, still it's the wonder of us I sing of tonight.
How in the midst of all this sorrow can so much hope and love endure?
It just really makes you feel for the servants, and I really enjoy that. And then usually what this does, usually what the original did is it went from this moment into that song something there. This, you get Days in the Sun, and then it kind of goes, and you start to get the relationship between Belle and the Beast, and it really, really works. I love that. It's fantastic. And what they do very well is they have scenes with them where they're talking about books and about stuff. He even shows her the library. The library isn't a gift. He kind of shows it to her. He's like, you can, read all these books. And she even asks him, he's like, have you read all of them? And he's like,
Well, not all of them. Some of them are in Greek.
they read books together, and then he's just kind of like, wow, I never really realized how beautiful things are. I think because she's starting to tear down those barriers with him, and I think that really works well. Something that the other version did and didn't do was it sped through this portion of the movie, and it was like, okay, they get together, bam, Beauty and the Beast, she leaves, Gaston comes, he defeats Gaston, they're in love, true love wins the day, etc., and the end. This elaborates a lot on that, and it really fixes, a lot of those things. And it just works, and I really like, that song Days in the Sun, as well as they go into something there. Obviously with this, we also see Maurice is picked up by Agatha, like the town poor lady, basically. And I enjoy the fact that, she helps him and everything, and there's a reveal later. And obviously, you've seen the movie, so you get, what the reveal is. But I think it works very, very well. And I think, going forward, it all works out very well. I like the way that it all is, comes together and everything. They go to her, childhood home. They go back to Paris and everything. Beast, what do you think about Paris?
Oh, I love Paris.
That's right, you love it. I like his line about tourism. That's kind of funny. And then she does the reprise of the song that Kevin Kline sings, and it works. It just works really well. I really enjoy that. Something else that it does is, in the theater, I was floored. I was like, oh my God, when he picks up that doctor's mask.
A doctor's mask. Plague.
It really got me. It really got me, and I was sitting there, I'm like, no, they didn't. They didn't. But they were adding to the story, and I like that they added to the story. They really played it up. They did a really good job with it. Then we get to Beauty and the Beast is so good in this movie. And what's great about the song, not only is the song great, but her dress. When she has the dress, they never show the dress in full. They show the glittery stuff come down, and the music's playing, and it works. It works. And then they put the stuff on there, and it goes and it goes and it goes, and then we get that shot, and the music starts and they dance. And I love the dance in this movie. I love the moment where he picks her up and they spin and everything. That's great. There's just a lot of great moments in it, and I really, really enjoy it. And then at the end, they're kind of like, wow, I haven't danced in forever. And then she's like, I love the moment where she tells him about her and her father dancing. Now, once Belle leaves and he lets her go, then we get the best song in the entire movie, in my opinion. Best song, one of the best scenes, one of the best shots in the entire movie is during the song Evermore.